time, the Board of Trustee meeting for the Town of Green Mountain Falls will come to order. It is 7:09. Today is March 3rd, 2015. Please make note that Trustee Stevens and Trustee Bott are not here tonight. However, we do have a quorum this evening. Glad you guys are here. Let's stand for the pledge, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic.
I'm glad you guys are out. We have a full house tonight in spite of the snow that's coming down. Mr. Cullinane, our Public Works Director, won't be here tonight because he's going to make sure our roads are being plowed and everything during the meeting. So, are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to this agenda board? Okay, I do have one. I'd like to add expectations for departments under new business, and we can make that letter F. Any others? Okay. Is there someone who moved to approve the agenda?
With expectations.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Any discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, next item, consent agenda. Are there any items that need to be pulled out of this? Okay, very well, we'll approve the Board of Trustee minutes, 17th, the Planning Commission minutes for February 10th, and the bills run for February 18th through March 3rd for $2,015.97.
So moved.
Okay, is there a second discussion on that? Okay, all those in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item number 4, public input. These are for items that aren't on the agenda. Please stand, state your name, your address, step up to the podium, and you have 3 minutes to, I know we have one for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to step?
Sure.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for allowing me to take 3 minutes and meet with people. Folks, my name is Tom Seehafer. I'm an owner of Karate of Woodland Park up at the City Market Mall. And my focus, besides bringing self-defense, kind of leave an impact on Woodland Park and Teller County by what I do. I'll give you some statistics real quick. Every 7 minutes, a child is bullied. And bullying is the #1 cause of suicide between 16 there. Every 90 seconds, a person is a victim of domestic abuse. Every 2 minutes, someone is sexually assaulted. And yes, even the guys get involved. More than 40% of domestic violence are men. So with what I offer a lot of things besides martial arts and training. I have programs that I really would like to bring into awareness of people. I have a program designed for kids against bullies. It's a workshop. Children ages 5 and up aware of what bullying is and how to handle it, how to let go of the stress and aggression through various means, talking, exercise, martial arts, boxing, what have you, so that hopefully it won't lead them to doing the ultimate sacrifice of taking their life. I have a program designed for more of the adults, which is 3 A's: awareness, ability, and action. No one ever thinks about, what if? And I like to think, well, we all prepare ourselves for retirement, we prepare ourselves for what we're going to dress, what we're going to eat. Why not think about someone possibly leaving here tonight and being attacked? What this teaches is a little bit more about awareness, taking off our horse blinders. I'm also trying to get involved with projects like the Wounded Warriors. Wounded Warriors, and we're in touch with Vanessa, I think we work with Teller Netcasting. So these are some programs that I think, with my knowledge and motivation, I can help people move through some obstacles and, again, break the stereotype that martial arts is not just about fighting. What I teach self-awareness, I teach self-confidence. Fighting basically is just the cherry on top of the sundae. So I'm there 6 days a week. I have a really good business. I've been involved for over 25 years. It's about half my life doing personal training, martial arts, and boxing. School's been there for a long time, and I just took it over. But I really would like to get the word out to Woodland Park. I'm willing over backwards, go anywhere, do anything, work with people, come down here, go up there. But I think these are all things, these are programs I'd like to see, people take an interest in and just, meet for coffee with me and talk a little bit more, see about what we can do for Green Mountain Falls. Ages 5 on up to senior citizens. Everyone needs to be aware. Everyone needs a little bit more self-confidence and awareness. And if you can throw a block and kick and punch, you pretty much have a good combination of how to defend yourself. But guns and pepper sprays are all fine and good, but when those get all knocked out of your hands, you got a lot of stuff on your body which no one really thinks about. So this is information. I've got really good information about why children should have martial arts. I might just leave this up here for you. But I can leave all this information actually, and I think I'll probably take my 3 minutes. So I appreciate your time tonight, folks, and Mayor knows where to get in touch with me, but if you have kids, anyone, feel free to bend my ear over some coffee or something. Okay? Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Tom, yeah, super. Yeah. Okay, anyone else? Okay, moving right along, there's no other public input. Okay, at this time, then we will move directly into a public hearing at 7:15. The Planning Commission recommends approval for the vacation rental at 1136, is that 6 or 5? I can't remember. 650. Belvedere and Pamela Fanta is here. And so we're now, yes ma'am, and we're now in a public hearing on this board. So are there any citizens out there that would like to comment on this vacation rental?
I did get a letter yesterday, it is in your packet. Regarding the vacation rental, for the 3 letters sent out next.
Okay, was there a letter attached to?
Yeah, it's right after, this page.
It's not necessarily
A letter.
it's a response.
It's a response.
Yeah.
There wasn't anything else with the response?
Just a blanket statement, it sounds like.
Yeah, not
That
in
was the
favor.
form of term, not necessarily.
Okay. So, hi Pamela, thank you for coming tonight. Would you like to talk to the board about your property?
It was it's my permanent address, and I've been living there for the last 4 years, but we remodeled a 1-bedroom cabin to a 3-bedroom house. And in order to defray some of the expenses I incurred in the remodel, I've decided to advertise it for a vacation rental in the summer months of June, July, and August.
And board, I was at the meeting with Pamela and the planning commission, and it was addressed, the parking issue was addressed, because I know that they were asking about that and making sure that people don't park on the streets and stuff. And so I think that's been addressed as
Yes,
well.
we did add that into our house rules.
So again, is there anyone else who would like to comment on this in the audience? Or do you have any questions for Pamela?
What was the question?
Just,
Belvedere, and there's no parking on Belvedere, and I just wanted to assure that we have plenty of parking in front of the house off street. And so I made a point of putting in for the guests who come that they cannot park on Belvedere, they have to park in the property.
How many spots do you
We have 2 spots in the garage and probably 3 spots in front of the garage.
so you're not going to probably have that car or something.
No, well, we rent to 6 people
Yeah.
maximum, so totally,
Yeah.
we'll have maybe 2 cars max.
Right.
And that's what the second page of the rule say, on-street parking is not allowed. Like, property in front of the garage.
Really like the design of the rules and stuff. It's really nicely laid out. And 14
Will you be doing your own management, or would you have a third party manager?
I would be managing, I already have a vacation rental in Woodland Park that I manage, so this would be my second. But I do want to stress, this is my permanent residence, and I'm hoping this won't be a long-term rental, it'll be a couple of summers. And I can be there in the summer, because I have to move out.
That's the worst thing about it.
I know. But I will be managing, and I already have lined up a local person to do the cleaning and things like that.
Thank you. Okay. If there are no other comments, we will move out of our public hearing at 7:19. The board, I would entertain a motion to approve the 11350 Belvedere Avenue as a vacation rental. Any discussion on that? Oh, I do need to read the findings real fast. Yeah, let me find the findings. The petition conforms to the requirements of the zoning ordinances. The use conforms to the requirements of the zoning ordinances. The use is consistent with the goals and objectives of the master plan of the town of Greenmount Falls. Neighboring land uses are compatible. The use will not result in an oversensitive use of land or result in undue traffic congestion or traffic hazards. And the use will not be unreasonably detrimental to the public health and safety and welfare for the citizens of Greenmount Falls. So then I would like to, then we're back to where we were. So we have a motion, second. Yes. Yeah. Okay, so all those in favor, vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Very good. Thank you. Yeah,
So I
thank
think
you.
I have a permit or something.
I believe the town has a special, use permit certificate, but let me check the clerk.
I can check back the Paris at the time. See if I have. Okay, piece of paper.
Okay, thank you very much. Be safe. Okay. There's Mary.
Do we issue a permit, given special, permit or special use permit for vacation rentals?
Not that I'm aware of.
So it's just something to the record.
It's on the record.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Okay. This time we will move right into another public hearing, 7:21 for the Dewey Mountain Trail access. I know Jesse Stroop is here. And we are in a public hearing.
Hello. My name is Jesse Stroop, and I'm here tonight as a representative of the Historic Green Mountain Falls Foundation to speak about Dewey Mountain. I will first introduce the foundation to anyone unaware of its purpose by reading from our mission statement. The Historic Green Mountain Falls Foundation is committed to the enhancement and preservation of the unique qualities of Green Mountain Falls and Chippewa Park area. The purpose of the foundation is to focus on open space parks, trails, and projects that are an integral part of this distinctive setting at the base of Pikes Peak. In regards to Dewey Mountain, the foundation made 2 land purchases in the year 2014 for a combined 140 acres of land on Dewey Mountain. The intent of these purchases was to preserve the beautiful backdrop that Dewey Mountain provides by protecting it from development. Also to provide open space for use by residents of the town and its guests with well-built, sustainable trails featuring magnificent views of the past. In the course of the past year, we've received expert advice from the technical advisory panel consisting of the Colorado State Forest Service, Timberline Tree Service, the local fire department, the Green Mountain Trails and Trails Committee, and taken into consideration much public comment. Reviewed and approved the Dewey Mountain Trails Master Plan for the trails on my property and have secured the funding to implement and sustain the project. This plan includes a fire mitigation project, trails built to the recommendations of the Forestry Service, and reduces trespassing on private property by closing 6 social trails currently used to access our property. We ask the Board of Trustees to agree to have the Dewey Mountain Trailhead at the east end of Myrtle Street, which will allow access to our property using the platted Myrtle right-of-way. After a long year's work, the Historic Green Mountain Falls Foundation is excited to move forward with our plans for hiking on Dewey Mountain. We agree with the recommendations of our panel and members of the Trails Committee and hope that you will join us in celebrating our new trailhead and hiking Dewey Mountain with us this summer. And I will ask Dick Bratton to the master plan.
Thank you.
The details of the master plan. Okay, that's not the speed, Jesse, but I'll be glad to continue on with that.
Thank you.
Here's what I plan to present. For the people who may not be familiar, just a little background on this thing. Trails Committee was the original petitioner for fixing up the trails on Dewey Mountain. And we came back in May. And we've been a long time coming to this point. In May, the Historic Green Mountain Falls Foundation purchased 140 acres of vacant land on Dewey Mountain. These 4 parcels here. They bought it in order to protect the town's backscape as well as the trail system. The foundation then asked the Green Mountain Falls Trails Committee to recommend the best location for a trailhead to access their new open space. The Trails Committee did extensive work, and we checked out 4 optional locations in the neighborhood where the foundation land abutted a town street. In other words, there was a town street and there's the foundation property line. So there's no private property involved. The committee carefully evaluated the options considering trail users accommodated. We saw an opportunity to include mountain bikes in our experiencing the backyard, the back outdoors. Construction difficulty, how difficult would it be to construct from each of the trailheads? Amount of new trail construction required, and the number of nearby houses. And the committee deliberated for quite some time, and they found out there was one location that was head and shoulders over the other 3, and that was the East Myrtle Street trail location. The town board decided to hold public hearings on May 20th and June 17th. The Trails Committee reached out to the neighborhood, and we sent all the homeowners in the neighborhood maps and drawings showing the possible trailhead locations, all 4 of them, and then invited them to come and participate in public hearings. And they showed up. Whoa! We got lots of people. It was a standing room only. Both public hearings ran almost an hour, and this board got to hear arguments on both sides, and it was a good public process. At the last hearing, there are 4 property owners on East Myrtle. 3 of the 4 came to the hearing and said they supported the trailhead at the end of East Myrtle. The 4th property owner on East Myrtle was not available. I personally went and talked to him, and he said he had no objections. So we invited him again tonight, but he's not here. So we feel that we found a location that's compatible with the nearest neighbors. The benefits of a Dewey Mountain trailhead and access trail. They will provide Dewey Mountain landowners Historic Green Mountain Falls Foundation access to their land. That's important. They buy 140 acres, they spend a couple $100,000 buying it in order that it doesn't get developed. And they make it like a gift to our community because they invited our community to go up there and recreate on it. Fantastic. But they have to have some way to get there, get onto the land. Another benefit will keep hikers from trespassing. Right now, there are 6 different routes that hikers take to get up to Mount Dewey. All 6 of them go across private land, across the neighbor's land. So what we propose is put the trailhead over here on East Myrtle and go around all the private land. So we'll have a place for the hikers to go without trespassing. The trail we can provide reasonable grades so whole families and hikers of all ages can enjoy the Dewey Mountain open space. This also is one of the few trails, in fact, it's the only trail in Green Mountain Falls that has south slope, so it has sunshine, so it melts off the snow. Our only year-round use trail. It will also be the first trail in the Green Mountain Falls Trail System, which is about 12 miles of trails. The first one that is suitable for mountain bikes. So we will design the switchbacks and the trail construction to take care of mountain bikes.
Thank you. Okay, I am sure that there are comments. I would like to remind you, please do not repeat comments said. It won't very keep us going. Just stand and say, I agree, or I don't, you know.
My name is Matt Petrone. I live at 10840 Myrtle Street. I'd like to packet of information which includes a letter signed by 28 residents who are against the trailhead on Myrtle Street. As a matter of fact, the resident that Dick mentioned earlier, who he spoke to and invited up, you'll find his letter in there, opposition to the trailhead being placed right next to his private property. I'd like to read you the letter that the 28 residents signed.
Do we have a copy of that?
Pardon me, there's a copy there, yes.
Right.
To the Board of Governors of the Historic Foundation. Applaud the efforts of the Historic Green Mountain Falls Foundation by providing green space and pristine mountain backdrop by purchasing approximately 140 acres owned by Ray Burgess. We also appreciate the offer to allow hikers access to the proposal by the Green Mountain Falls Trails Committee in a residential neighborhood after navigating 4 or 5 narrow, in some places 20 feet wide or less, steep, and in some places 20 feet more dirt roads seems a little irresponsible. Both Catamount Street, Orr Street, East, and Myrtle Street, both east and west, are each contiguous to the property in question. Closer examination would indicate that each of them have technical and personal problems. In their zeal to have more trails in the community, in their zeal to have more trails, the committee has overlooked the problems they would create by building their trailhead in any of these 4 locations. Please let us elaborate. Most people move to Green Mountain Falls to be out of the city. We escape congestion, overcrowding, crime, and all the negatives associated with city living. We enjoy privacy, peace, and quiet and security by living here. And we pay a premium in both dollars and convenience for that quality of life. Most people visit Green Mountain Falls for the same reasons. Trailhead options on Catamount Street, Orr Street East, and Myrtle Street East put the trailhead and the trail in uncomfortably close proximity to year-round homes, 20 to 25 feet. The trailhead option on Myrtle Street West poses a technical problem because of its because it is on a cliffside, creating a danger to trail builders as well as hikers. We admit that each of these options does not encroach on any property, but it would damage several residents' privacy. Historically, hikers using Catamount Trail park their car along Belvedere Avenue, ignoring posted signs to the contrary. The more responsible hikers have a friend drop them off at the end of the Belvedere Avenue so that they can take the road up to the trailhead. Some walk all the way up from Pass Avenue. Belvedere is paved, wide, and shallow pitched and has a quasi cul-de-sac at the end, making it easier for the drop-off. 3 of the 4 options for the Mount Dewey trailhead are dirt, and steep with no place to turn around. 4th is relatively flat. Still dirt, still narrow. Yes, Mount Dewey backdrop of Green Mountain Falls, but please keep in mind that being on the south-facing slope, it is infinitely less treed than the Thomas Trail, Catamount Trail side. Mr. and fire mitigation have left the Old Horse Trail in terribly unsightly condition. According to Dick Bratton, the Trails Committee has no plan to restore that cosmetic damage, just leaving the cut trees in the ditches covered with black plastic film topped with a slash from the old tree trunks. It would seem that building a new trail while ignoring the damage created by the earlier trail is a little irresponsible. If you look at a map of the trails at the far west end of Catamount Trail, the distance to the foundation property is less than 200 yards. We think this is a viable alternative to the Mount Dewey Trail and options preferred by the Trails Committee. This option inconveniences no one. It gives access to the foundation's property without disturbing anyone's privacy. It's a safe alternative that gives the hikers semi-wilderness experience as well. If the foundation acquires the property that includes the summit of Mount Dewey, and the trail built on the lower property will make a great access to the summit. And I hope that doesn't fall on deaf ears.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I came here tonight with very high hopes. First, let me say that I'm very grateful for all the time that the Historic Foundation has spent on this project. Last summer, my neighbors and I submitted a letter to the foundation. Even though some in our community are completely opposed to any new trail at all, we decided to make a peace offering. We said, give the Trails Committee their trail. In exchange, please don't put the trailhead in the middle of our neighborhood. That way, everyone doesn't get everything they want, but everyone gets something they want. We were willing to make a concession, but apparently no one else is willing to make any concessions. In addition, we submitted a petition with almost 30 signatures from people in our neighborhood, pleading that the trailhead be located anywhere but in our backyard. And I think it's really sad that those many people are to be ignored, like we don't even matter. We're just so many blank faces. That's how it feels. So if the trailhead goes in, I hope everyone else enjoys it at our expense.
Excuse me, what was your name?
Kimberly Hargrave, I'm at 10830 Forest Street.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Anyone else like to comment? Sure.
Wow, this new town hall is so cool compared to meeting at the old church as before, so this is just super. My name is Gordon Wise, and just like last time, I'm here to actually speak on behalf of the proposed Mount Dewey Trail. Now, one of the things that But I'd like to use my time tonight to actually talk about some of the objections to the Mount Dewey Trail, because last time I was here to talk about all the positives that would come with the trail. But, you know, we're a town of community and everyone's input needs to be considered. So I would like to use my time to talk about some of the objections to such a proposed trail. First and foremost, the notion that we don't need another trail. Well, you know what, empirically, that's true. We don't need another trail. You know, we don't need music, we don't need literature, we don't need art, we don't need entertainment and sports, but it sure makes life worthwhile, doesn't it? And that's kind of the spirit that I'd like to look at the trail. I mean, come on, this is Green Mountain Falls. Newsflash, we don't have here, up to Santa Fe. We don't have an NFL franchise here, that's up in Denver. What do we have here? Access to nature. That's why people like me decided to retire here and raise my family. That's why guests, visitors come here, spend their money in our lodging facilities, eat at our restaurants, which incidentally, I like using, but I really doubt we have the population base to keep those restaurants viable. So it's money coming into this town, and I would submit that those merchants that count on those visitors, they need the trail because they need the business, and we all indirectly benefit by those visitors pumping money into our economy. Now, staying on the restaurant theme, I like spaghetti. I like spaghetti a lot. Doesn't mean I want to eat it every night. And so it is with our trails. I like hiking our trails. I like hiking our trails a lot. But I don't want to hike the same trails over and over and over again. It gets kind of old. So it does enhance the trail experience out here. And as mentioned before, Mount Dewey would add an interesting new course to our menu of trails available here in Green Mountain Falls. It is the only Sunnyside location. And unlike any other trail, the entire trail, you've got unprecedented vistas of the valley below. So it would definitely be a unique addition to our trails network. I'll tell you another group of people who needs these trails, and that's our volunteers. We get people coming from as far as Dubai, north to Colorado Springs, donating a day out of their lives to come up and work on our trails. And you know what? For the last 2 years, we've had it in the same plate as spaghetti, because that's all we've done is trails maintenance. And this is just human nature. If you keep on doing a boring, unchallenging, repetitive task, you start losing that base of volunteers. And that's our most precious asset, as those volunteers go out and devote their time and their day to our trails. So we need them, and we need to give them new projects to keep them excited. I've seen the times when we build new membership peaks, and then when we don't have a new trail, the numbers start to dwindle. And guess what? Our trails, our existing ones, don't get the maintenance they need. I've heard people say, well, you guys don't even maintain the trails good enough to my standard to begin with. Well, that is my point. We need volunteers to maintain the trail. So if you want to make a positive impact, come out and join us, please. We have a good time. We need your help. And if you don't think your input's can be listened to, ask to come on my team. I will listen. I value everybody's input. And, you know, when we're done working, building, or maintaining a trail, it may not be perfect, but you know what? At the end of the day, it's a lot better than what we started in the morning. So there is definite positive impact that we can all be doing here besides complaining about people who actually do the building and the maintaining. So I've heard other concerns about damage to the environment. Well, as looked at before, Dewey Mountain was crisscrossed with a ton of social trails. If we build one well-built, erosion-abating trail, it's going to actually help the hillside. So it would actually be of environmental benefit. I've heard arguments about safety and fires. I live in the valley too. I have a family, I have a wife, I have kids. I don't want my house attacked by criminals, or I was with the rest of you abandoning this place 2 years ago during the Waldo Canyon fire. I'm sensitive to that as well. But I'm not a forest fighter, and I'm not a law enforcement official. So I defer to our experts. For the crime question, I asked Chief Bradley, correlation between hikers and crime. And he said, in my experience, I've got no statistical correlation to support that thesis. And I live on a road that leads up to a trailhead, and hikers go by it all the time. And they don't threaten my wife, they don't threaten my children, they don't make me feel unsafe in my own home. So that kind of does support what Chief Bradley's saying. When it comes to fires, well, I went to our local fire chief. First day I went there, he wasn't there. Rich Bowman, our former fire chief, was there. He said, well, I'll let Chief Murphy speak for the town, but last 2 fires we put out in Dewey Mountain were lightning strikes. Not hikers, lightning strikes. And when I did get a hold of Chief Murphy, he goes, I've got nothing to support that this trail would be any greater fire danger than any of the other existing trails that we have in Green Mountain Falls. In fact, thanks to the ubiquitous carry these days, our hikers, they are our first responders to fires because they get reported early on when they can still be contained. So if anything, our hikers are forest fire abatement measures. Now, I think the committee is well advised to look at the people who suggest different alternatives. I'm all for as many trails as possible, but we got to look at where hikers are going to go. They come to Green Mountain Falls and they're looking for the most direct access. So it makes sense to build trails where they're going to be used and not just continue on with the series of trespassers that's happening now. Build it where it will be used. I highly encourage you to look at their alternatives. I think everything needs to be considered, but logic dictates that people are like water. We take the path of least resistance and shortest courses. A well-built trail is the least path of resistance. And that's what we want to get the people onto, is a well-built trail so they're not destroying the hillside by just bushwhacking across willy-nilly. And then the last thing, of course, is private property rights. So I got a big libertarian streak myself. I hate to see anybody's private property violated. But we're not talking about anybody's private property. And to me, you're a lawyer, I don't know. I don't think proximity to somebody else's land constitutes any form of ownership. So what we've been granted here, what we've been gifted by the Historic Green Mountain Falls Foundation is an opportunity to preserve our backdrop, our beautiful our town, and open it up for the hiking public. The last time I bit the hand of a benefactor, that was when I was an ungrateful teenager living in my parents' home. Since then, I don't do that anymore. I'm grateful to what you guys are doing for us. Sincerely grateful. And I hope the board feels the same way about this extremely generous gift. So as you sit down to deliberate and make a very tough decision, I hope you do it with everybody's input involved. You make a decision based on the greatest benefit for the greatest people of this community. I sincerely believe that this trail is good for the environment, our economy, and most importantly, for our community as a whole. So thank you for your time and for your service to our community as our representatives.
My name's Claudia Ely, and I live up on 6730 Garfield Avenue. And for anybody who's not familiar, it's near and very close to Crystal Creek. And so I'm right below the Thomas Trail coming into the Kirkpatrick Trail, all of which, well, not all of which, a good bit of which, of the Thomas Trail and all of the Kirkpatrick Trail go across more historic Green Mountain Falls Foundation. Most of these, although there's some new connections, are historic trails. I've done a lot of study of the history of this area, and I'm a co-author of a book on the history of the area. And trails were built here in 1888, and they are always been a draw. And people come to get away from the big city, but they also like to get out and walk. And that's their form of entertainment, is to get out and walk and be healthy and get up in the woods and the trails. I think one of the best things about this project, and I do agree there may be other alternatives, but the single most important thing is the way it would provide the abandonment, and it's going to be a physical abandonment is in the plan, posted and physically all of the encroachments to get onto the trails which are being used anyway. I happen to have property that adjoins a trailhead up to the Thomas Trail, the top boulder. And if that trailhead wasn't there and marked and led to, I'd have oodles and oodles of people coming right through my property, right next to my home every weekend, few during the week, but the oodles every weekend just to get to the trails, which are part of our heritage. But because that trailhead is right at the top of Boulder and very well marked and mapped and everything, they go where they're supposed to go. And I'm so glad to have them up there. I think they're the eyes and the ears up there. People know. And I've also had a number of the forest rangers, mostly the kind that are up above us, near the Mountain Reservoir, say, you need the trails so that you can get in there should a fire start. To have to bushwhack, especially on our hillsides, that are so overgrown, for a firefighter to be able to get in there, impressed with that. So whatever happens, we have got to get a fix so that we can get all these other encroachments blocked off, people are going the way they should go. Thank you.
I have a question. You know, you live where you live. Have you ever had, like, people trespassing on your property or any vandalism within your?
Never had a touch of vandalism. I have had 2 or 3 people take shortcuts through trail, always follow the trail.
Right.
But we don't, also we have no, we've not ever had to make an effort to say, no, don't go here, put a block across. We did do some of that over toward the Wallace Reserve because there was some problems with those social trails that were encroaching a little too much. We just, and yeah, we've had a few come down. There's a historic trail that came down from the old powerhouse site, and people get onto that, and then they walk down through. I can't talk to them. But we know real truth, but they've never, we've never had, we've hardly had 3 scraps of paper left.
Right.
But we've never had anything.
I just appreciate, I don't know if that's your property, but you walk over the bridge, and then there's this area that's been done, and it just says, you know, please enjoy the private property. You know, and
That's
there's
our
law,
property,
that's,
on that side. On this side of the street is the town property, where the official trail that goes on.
well, that's so nice over there to just, you know, go over there and sit down and just enjoy that.
It has had another benefit, I think, to the town. There's been a large number of people who have appreciated the mitigation creates and really see that you can thin out the brush and the fire danger and have a beautiful, enjoyable spot. Sometimes I'm so opposed to thinning, and they don't realize it.
Okay, thank you.
One more comment from Mike.
Does anyone else have anything?
I want you to understand that nobody who signed that letter is opposed to the trails. They're opposed to the trailhead. And if you think that by putting a trailhead there is gonna stop people from trespassing on private property and going on the trail wherever they want, you're very, very naive.
Mr. Richmond, I do have a question for you. There's not a date on this letter. When was this letter sent to the Board of Governors of the Historic Fremont Falls Foundation?
Prior to their September meeting,
Do you have a date?
I don't, if it's not on there, then I don't. But it was sent to them prior to their September meeting. Just like the call that they acknowledged that they got.
Is there anyone else? Yes, sir.
Excuse me. I'm Tom Corman. I live on Lawrence Avenue, which is a great neighborhood. We like people walking up inside our house, going hiking. It's a very, I don't feel any, I've been here for 45 years, and I don't have a problem with people. You know, you gotta start a trail someplace. I mean, like there's one up in Belvedere. I mean, it's not in, I don't think it's a problem for any numerous other trails that start up, you know, all the way from here to Cascade, that have to go. This trailhead is gonna be on town property. I mean, it's a platted area. It's right up above where I live, but it was never, you know, developed. So, and I've hiked Mount Dewey Trail, it's been, you know, 100 years in existence. Why not allow people to go up there? I mean, this is the best access for it. It's been the access that's been used, you know, forever. Unfortunately, there's no true access except to private property. But now that this property above us has been open to the public, we need to have some access. So, I don't know of any better place than this for access.
And what is your address?
10715 Florence Avenue.
So Florence is the street below Myrtle.
Yeah, it starts at Grandview and dead Upper Hill and Catamount. Thanks.
My name's R.J. Brown, and I live at 5720 Temple Road. Comment was made about the condition of the trail. That the trail committee would not going to do enough to take care of it. I think the trail, first of all, I'm a new resident here 2 years ago. And when I first started on hiking the trails, even Thomas, Kirkpatrick, in that 2 years' time, we made improvements. We made it safer, moved rocks, leveled it up. I live right at the base of Mount Esther Trail. The trailhead's just up Chicago. And that trail is really not maintained. And that, I guess I'm just here to defend what the trail committee will do. They will make sure that the trail is kept up and made safe, and we'll look at the environment. But I don't want anybody to think that the trail committee is lacking in what they do. And as Gordon had said earlier, we'll always use more people to work on those trail maintenance stations. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? No one else? No other comments? Okay, and this public hearing on this issue is closed 7:57. Okay, board. At this time, I would like to, I am going to call a 7-minute recess of this meeting. Okay, so this meeting is recessed right now for 7 minutes. Okay? Thank you.
grab that. So still. You have to teach them.
You have a visual.
It's good for everybody to keep going.
You know, that's what this was. It's still holding up.
Perfect for them, not fine.
Doing all right?
And you want
I see you're dressed for the weather. Yeah. Okay. You must live in the mountains.
Yeah.
Spring starts in February.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So that would be that next meeting. Yeah, well, it's posted. She's got I feel like I wear it probably, yeah.
So if you get the cell tower, provider does that too. Just one provider, or can it be multi-users? Oh, we're good here. We're good. You got my vote. I'm tired of dropping calls. I think it's great. It's more, I don't know. It's one of those prepaid phones that buy a year's worth of service. I think it's. It's kind of, it's LG. You buy the clothes every year, just pay $5 for the whole year. And then everything, no contract. But I think Sprint is the provider. The Sprinter is Verizon, but
That's one problem.
What's everybody else doing?
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, so no one close to the
Right, and so landscaping on there. Somewhere in that area.
Start out here and then we're actually trying to figure out. So the power table is rushed up. You know, it's kind of like, obviously, the game we get, that's nasty.
But as they came across here, they didn't go up. They just, yeah, nothing else. They had the right.
Kind of see where you would think from that. That'd be Mike Brown, we went down and we found remnants of the trail. We're down here.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Please just make record that trustee Ellis is not right the time he comes back in, but it's 8:07 right now. So board, we have a tough decision to make. It's part of our jobs, I guess, is to listen to our citizens and do what we think is in the best interest of our town and for the whole community. So, let the conversations begin. Anyone have any comments? These letters, I really wish I had seen them sooner, you know, personally. And I'm concerned that these people didn't come forward. These names on here, I've seen that they were at the public hearing, but where are they now? I don't know.
Your Honor, may I ask a question about those documents?
Yes,
Are the 20-some signers' names in there?
yes.
Are they all members of the properties that are, well, I'll say from Belvedere up to the edges of the historic Green Mountain Falls property, or are they scattered on the Green Mountain Falls?
I can answer that.
Okay, yeah, you elected it, you probably would be the best person to.
They are on demo.
They're scattered out.
Yeah, they're scattered.
They're-
That's
mostly-
actually, the majority of the names that are on the petition that I gave you, the majority of them are in our neighborhood. They're on
That
Catamount,
neighborhood very
like
big.
Florence, Myrtle, Catamount.
Here's
Right.
here's where they're proposing the trail head. And here's where the signatures are. Number two at the end is over here. Not experienced, some negative things. This is Dr. Thomas. Anyway, this is
I have a question for the.
there's 22 households.
Mr. Patron, please.
Who would that be?
Dick, Mr. Bratton.
Good idea.
I'm looking,
Guys, please pay attention. Okay.
I see the approach you're taking here with the public right of way, and I think it's a good approach. I'm wondering, just out of curiosity, on the east end of Myrtle Street, where it's kind of undeveloped in that area, a touchdown right behind the community center there. It's kind of hard to tell on the map that I can see, but is there any, is that right of way contiguous through there that I see you're coming in from the west side and hitting your property? Is there a way, did you look at the east entrance or the east side of it?
Yes, we investigated the east side, starting down in Sally Bush. It's super steep, it's too narrow to get the switchbacks in, so it was technically impossible to put the trail on the east end of Myrtle. The east end of East Myrtle. We did consider that.
Can I ask a question, maybe for the Trails Committee? There was a fifth option that had been mentioned about putting the trailhead in over where the existing trailheads are.
Where the
Was
what,
that investigated?
where?
Over there where the existing
At the
trail.
west end of the Catamount, the western extremity of the Catamount Trail, there's a space that's
Believe
on,
that's the
that's
garden.
on town
Believe that's the-
property, excuse me, let me finish.
Okay.
That's on town property, that's within 200 feet, 200 yards of the historic Green Mountain Falls property.
The Catamount Trail terminus, western terminus, is at the west end of the Garden of Eden, which is some 2.5 miles away from.
Let me show you,
Okay,
so, let me show you so that I'm clear on this, okay?
Public hearing was over.
Would you please use the map, Mr. Patron, that's on the.
Yeah, you said it.
Yes.
So, Catamount Trail. Catamount Trail comes down, the furthest west end is here. Here's where the Green Mountain Falls property, the Green Mountain Falls Foundation property is. It doesn't seem to me, after building all this trail, that it would be that difficult to take your trail across this property, which belongs to Green Mountain Falls, belongs to the town, and abuts the historic Green Mountain Falls Foundation property. Would be relatively easy, a lot easier than building the trail up to the Garden of Eden. To get your trail and move it to here. Then it gives you all of the historic Green Mountain Falls property, build your trails on. And it eliminates a conflict that's gonna arise over here.
Okay,
I think that's pretty
let me ask you, point where you live. Now, let's say you wanna go hike to the top of Dewey Mountain. You would have to go down to Belvedere, get on the Catamount Trail, climb up to where you pointed, and access the open space here. The trail is still way up the top of the map. So
The
you've
the
added,
trail, once you access this property, you
So
can
instead
trail
of-
wherever you want.
instead of you walking down Myrtle Street to get on the trail, you've gotta go 2.5 miles to get into this open space. That doesn't make any sense.
That doesn't bother me the least little bit.
They're hikers.
All your neighbors, the same thing.
Well, it doesn't seem to
They
bother
can't-
them either,
they
they
can't go
signed
over-
the petition.
Okay.
The idea, Dick, is that this is a viable alternative that you seem to reject, just out of hand, because
Mr.
you would rather have the trailhead over here.
That's correct.
Hang on, Mr. Patron,
All right,
Mr.
relax.
Patron,
That's correct.
Mr. Patron, with your suggestion, once you get up there, where are those hikers gonna go? Because
But they can build trails to their heart's
No,
content
no,
once they get
if
there.
they get to the top of Dewey Mountain, where are they gonna go if the trails aren't built around there, coming down?
They come back the same way.
Well, no, none of our other trails really do
Well,
that.
you know, if you take most of these trails, most people do go back the same way we came.
That's ridiculous.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't.
I'm a looper, I mean, I like loops. I would have a trail like that in addition to the.
Yeah.
To the trail, I know they're fantastic loop.
Right. Okay. Okay, any other questions, board? We need to make a decision on this. I actually did go out, today, this morning, I did go out, with Mr. Bratton, and I saw this trailhead, and I did walk it, myself, and I saw where the proposed trail is, and I appreciate the opportunity, because maps, my husband's the map guy, you know. So, and I saw where the proposed parking would be, and I saw that in my mind, okay? And, I definitely like this location much better than I did the first location that was proposed, okay?
There's gonna be parking up there?
There's no parking up there. No, there's no parking up there,
Just
but I
basic
saw,
parking.
excuse me, I saw where we would park down on the roads and stuff, okay? Because that is a concern to everyone, there's not gonna be parking on the streets, okay? I do have a hesitation board with the one property there, Mr. Corset, Keith. Because of how close that is to his property. Mr. Bratton said he did speak with him. Unfortunately, I was not able to get a hold of him today myself, because
His letters is in the packet I gave.
I understand.
Opposition.
Mr. Patron, I did read your letter. Please let me finish and do not interrupt. Okay? I think tonight, until I have the opportunity to speak with him personally, that I will not be able to vote in favor of this, because I need to speak with him personally. Okay?
It sounds to me like there's a couple things before the board for decision. One is, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna provide access? Where are you gonna provide it? There seems to be a multitude of people on both sides of the issue. There seems to be a lot of people saying, well, I've spoken to this person and they said this. That to me is not what the board should necessarily base their decision on, is, well, I talked to them on Thursday at noon and they said this, and I talked to them Friday morning, they said this. It's not that difficult to have some correspondence come from the town to these, and the correspondence come back to the town rather than through other citizens. And I understand, I think it's great that the citizens are talking about it, but that's where, if the town's sitting here kind of grappling with this, I would get communication directly to the town. In addition to that, there seems to be several options that have been, at least looked at. From what I have in my packet, that the board is being asked to either agree or disagree with the Dewey Mountain Trail on the east side of Myrtle, and then to authorize the crews to improve a 260-foot long trail along the Myrtle right of way, which is the town's property. My suggestion would be the town has very specific outlines of exactly what kind of improvements are gonna be done, who's gonna be doing those improvements, what kind of liability sits on the town for the people doing those improvements. What happens when the town decides to build out their right of way, how long trail will be there, things like that that may arise after we're here, for the next generation. Has anybody talked to CDOT to see what their comments or their thoughts are, saying, well, here's where we want people to be turning around, here's where we want people to be parking, here's the people we don't want them to be parking. There's at least some conversation that needs to happen with, if you're gonna try to route people for turnarounds and drop-offs and parking, that I don't think that necessarily the citizens or the Trails Committee should be directing where the town is saying, park here versus don't park here. That's something that the town should look at very carefully. So it sounds to me like you can either make a decision tonight, or if you wanna continue this information, we can continue to write the original publication for the public hearing by simply voting to continue the hearing. You can certainly vote to approve or deny it, or however the board sees fit, but in the interest of, if you're contemplating more fact finding and information gathering, I would suggest continuing the hearing to another date, and having some correspondence come directly to the town.
I agree with that. I think, just like any improvement in town, it should be noticed to the public, adjacent property owners from the town, so we can get direct feedback. But I do think that it is an appropriate use of the public property there. It is a right of way, there's no encroachment on public property, on private property. I hear the concerns for the trailheads and the existing trailheads that are there, and the use that goes on, and whether or not this trailhead goes in, I don't think that. I would be inclined to think that with an established trailhead, you would see the reduction in people crossing private property. If there is no trailhead, whatever is occurring will continue to occur. In my opinion, I don't see anything that would change that. I do agree that any kind of improvements through the public right of way would require a right of way permit or something of that nature, or something, an agreement in place regarding access. To address if someone was to develop that right of way, obviously if that was to happen, the need for the trailhead would be there. The road was to extend to the property of the HDM. And I think from what I'm looking at on this map, it looks like the existing hiker parking would be used for that same purpose. I understand the concerns on the alternative access that is requested to go through the existing Catamount Trail, and I think that is a good idea for a loop trail. Can't see a lot of people using that access. It's just onerous. I understand they're hikers, but hikers like to do loops. Anyway, so I think maybe I do support trying to get direct feedback from the neighborhood. I think we kind of have an idea of what I would like to have it directly from the town to the town. But I do think, as I said before, that it's a good alternative to all those other that we have seen. It's a public right of way, it's a public use, there's no enforcement on private property. I understand there'll be people walking by, but they're walking on a public road. So that's my 2 cents.
I do like how the trail comes away, and it is away once you get on the trail, the proposed trailhead. it's going away from the homes and not, so it's unlike what it was before, how it was right there. So it's just, again, it's that one property owner that I feel. Any other comments?
I agree with Chris that anybody can walk on any of our roads at any time, any place. In fact, I could walk past my house on my road all the time. My only other concern was that, there seem to be names or addresses on this list we have received for not wanting people in locations that have more direct interest in this situation.
Trustee Gardner?
I agree with you. I think we need to speak to that party to see their opinion on that. And we can go from there.
Trustee Gardner?
I want to thank the foundation for bringing this up, providing this opportunity, because as they go back, and this is what that's wonderful. Also, trails have a starting date somehow. So, they have a starting date. It says what that was. And it's, to me, it's a good answer as far as the amount of work that was done to keep it public. Because I have walked around and just do it all the time. We've all said it, we're going to have people going on with cars. We might as well create a trail that channels it. And I do have a question for Marshall as far as, I think we've got you pretty well staffed to, as far as being able to, in the summer months, keep a very close eye on that. I would hate to see a lot of people driving up those roads to drop somebody off. There, guidelines as to that, and what your input's on.
I've got a blower going back here and I can't hear all of that. You said you have concerns about people dropping people off?
Too many people driving up and dropping people off, and then driving back down to the parking lot.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm wondering if you had some ideas about maybe how we can control that, or if you
I don't have any ideas about that. That's a public road. People want to drive up and drop people off. We do it all the time at Belvedere and Hondo. I don't know how we're gonna,
You know the width on that railway?
I don't. I don't know. I've never faced it.
40 feet.
Yeah, the
But-
snowplow is putting the snow in here, so.
40 feet.
40 feet.
Unless you want to construct an ordinance that you can't drop a hiker off.
You never know.
Well, if you want to do that and we can prove that they're really dropping a hiker off, then we can enforce it. But, they, as long as they're not parking in these areas and creating problems for emergency vehicles, blocking access for snow removal, blocking someone's driveway, we can't do a whole lot about it at this point.
I'd like to add information, not persuasion. Our experience on all the other trailheads is hardly anybody drives up and drops people off to hike. Once in a great while, very infrequently. The driver wants to stay with his passengers, and he leaves the car downtown, and they all walk up together. There's hardly any to drop off. I talked to my neighbor who lives right at the turnaround at the end of Hondo. He says, no, hardly anybody comes up here and drops off. That doesn't happen. And the Trails Committee does not want to advocate drop-off on East Myrtle either. Somebody said, where's the designated turnaround? No, the Trails Committee don't want a designated turnaround. Don't want to encourage it. But we have not had a big problem with drop-offs on our other 15 miles of trails. Not a problem at all.
Let me reiterate that. I wasn't saying there was a problem with it. I was saying it occurs. I deal with it a lot in the summer. It's not an issue. Unless somebody sits there and wants to read a book, you know, and technically are parked, and we've had a few of those that don't want to go hiking with the people in the car. And we just tell them, you gotta go down to the bottom if you're gonna park. There's designated parking for that. Did you have a rendezvous time? Do they have a cell phone? It's not been a problem per se, but it does occur. Not everybody in a car, you know, a minivan wants to take the same hike. It's never been complaint driven, oriented, unless they park.
I'd like to respond to Mr. Brandt's comment about the drop-offs. If you're interested, you can call Nancy Britton, who lives at the very last house on Milton. And you can ask her or her son, and they will be happy to tell you that there are people getting dropped off there on a regular basis, every day, all summer long.
And what problem does that create?
Apparently it creates a problem for them because they complained about it.
Well,
Okay, guys, enough, thank you. Okay. Okay, so,
Excuse me. I just wanted to say that I think that the reason that there is so much trespassing up there, because I live at the very top, is because the Trails Committee distributes maps to the public as well as online, showing that that is a trail up there with a big red dot, my driveway. So people come up there all the time and they say, I'm confused, where's the trailhead? And they show me the map. So maybe we wouldn't have such a problem if the Trails Committee would advertising it.
we will adjust the map.
Yeah.
The map reflects trails. There's an existing trail that goes by Mrs. Hargrave's house.
and so that
And
is,
so we put it on the map.
Okay.
Sorry. We'll take it off the map.
that will be
We will take
adjusted.
it off the map.
Okay, so, or, I think we, probably need to gather information before decisions made. Not go ahead. Yeah, we need to make a decision next board meeting. But I'd like to hear from property owners, something from the town.
Do I didn't get a map, so I don't know who to send it to. Is there, can I get a copy of it?
I do that to you.
So we'll gather more information. Mr. Cobb, so would this be a continuation public hearing or just
Do
a
they
decision?
accept that the board wishes to continue to use the original publication as Mayor endorsed to continue the public hearing until at another date, specify the date and the time, and continue to use the
I will entertain a motion to continue the public hearing on the Mount Dewey Trail until March 17th. At our meeting, March 17th,
So move. At a specific
at 7 o'clock. Do you have a second?
I would like to, sure that, the clerk sends kind of one of those, notices. Not sure what that would look like, but
I noticed that.
just a letter,
I can modify it.
The Trails Committee already sent a letter to all the property owners.
Right, but we need it from,
On June 4th. If you'd like to copy that letter so you can send it again to the same people, we'll provide the letter for you.
well, let's make
I would
sure.
suggest it doesn't mirror something.
I think we
To
can
be
do
clear
it.
that this is a the board to say, we want to hear directly from
From
you,
our
be it in writing or be it, we're holding a public hearing on
Please
this
attend.
time, or we're continuing our
That's
public hearing
fine.
on this time, at, this place, on this date.
Right,
And so
Yeah, we
either
would
please
love-
respond in writing or show up so
Right.
we can ask questions.
right. Okay,
I'll provide some to you for, to the board for approval before I send that to the owners.
perfect. Thank you.
Do you think you could have a letter prepared by the end of the week?
Just respond individually
And Matt, if you could look into, that the town has a use permit for right of way.
We have an encroachment agreement that we currently use with,
Folks,
Excuse me,
good, folks,
Mr. Bratton, just wait.
okay,
Let Mr. Bratton, let us talk.
all right.
Thank you.
we have an encroachment that likely could, encompass what, at least what I'm understanding, most use of the town right of way.
The town is gonna build the trail, not the foundation. Does the town need a permit to put a trail on their own property?
We're not.
No,
You know,
we have a special, revocable permit. If a private property owner wants to put a structure on,
on-
but you don't have a town to put a trail on town property. There's no such thing.
Dick, the intent is actually to insulate the town from the installation, the maintenance, and the use, and the liability that associates with each one of those, and to make a very, very clear record of what they, something that is platted as a street.
Who's
It is
the
not-
permit gonna be to? The Trails Committee?
When you're building it, who exactly,
Trails.
Oh, it's- It
Trails
is not
Committee.
they're not employees of the town,
No, they are not.
which I think causes.
They're not. But they've already built 12 miles of, with no permits required.
Well, I'm asking the question.
Yeah,
I
okay.
want to make sure that the town
Sure.
is covered. Understand your frustration. Typically, if anyone's doing work in the right of way, they have a permit to do the work in the right of way. It's just a formality, and I'm just making sure that if we need something like that in place, that's all.
My feeling is you don't need it because we've been building trails for
Well, I
30 years without such a permit.
Okay, that's good. I just like the attorneys.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second discussion on that. Okay, all those in favor vote by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? March 17th. We do
Mayor.
appreciate
Your cookies, the motion is second.
the motion was Cook, and the second, I think it was.
Good.
Thank
Thank you.
We appreciate your patience with this. We want to make sure that we go into it, and make the best decision with the information. We appreciate the trust committee, what you guys have done. So I would encourage our citizens to please come next meeting. Property owners over there, please come to that board meeting and the public hearing so we can hear from you. That would be great. Okay? Thank you. Okay, moving right along. Old business. Welcome, trustee Butts.
Thank you, sorry I'm late, but the good news is the Manatee Spring Festival band did a great job.
Yay. You're really, that's great. You know what? To by 9 o'clock, we're gonna put on a new agenda, how's that? For next time, so we can get out. You can see that? Okay, so, excuse me.
We missed it.
Well, I said we're gonna leave, so whatever's not completed here, we'll just roll it on to the new agenda for next time.
Mayor, could I
Yes.
suggest you take item 7A and address Mr. Stroop's here? 'Cause he
Yes.
flew all the way from Oklahoma City to be here for that one.
Yeah. That would be great. I would appreciate, that's good, thank you. And so guys, let's do, the 7A then. The Lake Street revocable permit, Jesse. Let's do that first, okay? Jesse, come on up. Come on up.
Trustees, the Historic Green Mountain Falls Foundation is the owner of the property located at 6990 Lake Street, Green Mountain Falls. The property manager for the Green Mountain Workshop. And I have submitted an application for a to install a large piece of public art, which is a painting commissioned by Spencer Finch. This installation would be referred to as the Lake Street Beautification Project. A detailed concept drawing of the beautification project was attached for review at the last planning commission meeting. The beautification project would involve relocation of public restrooms terminating at Lake Street. A drawing suggesting the specific site for relocation is attached to that packet. The concrete catch basins below the existing restrooms would be removed. So basically, we're asking for permission to remove those public restrooms and relocate them to a side of the park. And install there a piece of public art and beautify that land with landscaping and a piece of fairly, probably 2 years.
Do you have a picture of the art that you're proposing?
I understood that it was submitted with the last application. So the answer is no, I do not have it.
The public restrooms that are currently there, are they sitting on?
Town property.
It's town property and in floodplain.
Well, that was my next question, is for this, if you were to take and relocate, would that be,
I have our architect, Chuck Gronge, working with Pikes Peak Regional, looking at originally, that composting station was put in place because it did not have the pipe with wastewater and the floodplain. And so we're hoping that we can just relocate the same system.
Those are compost toilets.
Yeah.
Isn't it big?
So there is, basically, it's a shed. It's what you see above ground, sitting on top of a septic tank, which is self-contained and works with composting materials. It's pumped out every 2 years.
is
So-
that a, I'm sorry.
No,
Is that a health department permit?
there was not a health department permit issued for that station, and I'm working with Pikes Peak Regional to see if that would be necessary at this time. So I'll say there's a lot of questions to be answered about as to the cost and as to the possibility of relocating those restrooms, but a place to start, and your approval of the local permit, assuming that we can meet all the requirements of providing same as or better restrooms. Is what I'm going forward.
Jesse, I'm looking at the map that we've got here, and if I'm seeing it right, where you're looking to relocate them is right where the kids' playground is, the sand part, the sand pit, or am I seeing that?
It's above that area.
It's totally.
It's closer to that, yes.
So if I look at this, so here's your new one, the kids' playground is farther this way?
Correct.
Okay. Which side of the fence? So we got the fence with all those signs on there. Is it on the street side?
Street side of the fence.
Street side. I'm not seeing the downside to it if it's not over. It looked like it was right there overlooking the sand. I don't see a downside to moving them.
I think the only, the caveat would be that all of this activity, there's no hang-ups to permitting or anything of that nature.
guys will take care of all the costs for that.
Right.
And so do the revocable permit then, is that annually? How does that work, Matt? An annual fee?
Yeah, so the revocable comes along with an annual fee. We apply each year. Idea of one standing signs, obviously not for advertising purposes. And then said, do you know what you're proposing? Have you guys looked at the sign code? The planning commission looked at the sign code to see how that piece of art, either a standing sign. I mean, I guess that's what my question is, what's the standing sign versus the art?
And you don't have a photo of the piece
She's
of art.
going to look
It's
into the
basic,
planning
and it
commission right now.
basically is done as, it's used as materials that we put up as a sign, because it takes that kind of engineering to hold that piece of artwork up. And so it's not gonna conform to town sign permits, just like, as a piece of art, it's not a sign.
Okay.
It's a commission packet, she's trying to pull it out of that right now.
Do we have a little time to see what the planning commission has to say about? Or
It's gone in front of the planning
Oh, it has?
commission, yes.
It's already been in front of the
It's-
planning
yeah.
commission, and they gave their approval to move on,
okay,
you know.
for all of the
Pending,
facets of the
pending,
project.
pending all these things that you said about getting permits, and everything, but moving on.
Actually, found what we needed. 16, chapter 16, section 4, fields. 4:15 talks about exempt signs. Number 2 talks about fine arts. It says works of fine art as defined. Or 17, which in no way identify product or business may be displayed. So, like I said, it probably falls into that from what you're telling me. Fine arts defined graphics, drawing, painting, sculptures, and ceramics, or as determined by the board of trustees. So if you determine that this is a fine art, it'd be an exempt, even if it could be classified as the standing.
It's fine and it's
I
fine.
have to approve the revocable permit as requested.
Second,
Okay, is there any discussion?
All the permitting that needs to occur prior to activity.
So if I won't say what I said at the planning commission meeting, the bathrooms are important to me, and it's important for our citizens to have those bathrooms, and I don't want to do something at the expense of having those bathrooms. And so this will give you opportunity to go investigate more, to make sure that those are gonna be able to. I would hate for them to start tearing them down and then find out, oh my goodness, we're at the creek.
And that's not how we run our.
Yes.
that's put it on, there was a comment or something.
Well, I know.
So to the extent that the wants to make it, the granting of the revocable permit conditioned upon an acceptable plan to move, essentially contingent upon moving the toilets, I would suggest that the motion.
Okay.
That's about.
Is there a contingency plan that, let's say you attempt to relocate these bathrooms if something happens?
I think the contingency plan is to see what a complete new outfit would cost, and look at the cost of demolition versus buying new, and compare those costs and go with the plan to do one or the other.
In other words, we don't want to turn down the bathrooms and then we can't get them back.
Right.
We wouldn't know where to go.
I know, that would be a disaster.
Our company also last year.
Yes.
To.
I understand it's gonna be late.
Yeah.
Site condition.
So So let's change that motion then with the word would you
So-
say conditional?
Essentially, it's, you're granting a revocable permit would be conditioned upon the successful relocation of the toilets, which one caveat word is if those somehow could be deemed a non-conforming use, don't tear them down. If they're not gonna for sure give you something else or allow you to move them, if they stay there, they can stay there for frankly as long as the board says leave them there. I mean, you guys have a habit of knocking things down and then looking at it, but that's just an extra, make sure that you have a plan to go to, so. Yeah, my suggestion, if the board's intent is to make it so that they have their bathrooms, that they, look at a motion that grants the revocable permit, condition upon the successful relocation,
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
That's fine. Mr. Stern, would you provide the board with ongoing kind of updates once in a while as to how that?
I will, I can do that through,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Yes.
I'd kind of like to do the audit, because we're running out of
Yeah.
time.
Let's go to 6A. My apologies for jumping around, but we really need to get out of here. Okay, so auditor bids. Mary, you have the floor.
Auditors, since our last meeting. One was for the auditor from Randy. Talked with him, great detail. What I did on him was at the end of our conversation, he didn't feel that our budget really warranted their price.
Guys. Mr. Brad and Mr. Brad. Thank you.
So, they are a no-no.
Are they in here at all?
No, because
Okay.
he didn't
Okay.
even want to submit,
Okay.
they are out of Levon.
Yeah.
So his cost would be 12,000 plus, without the,
Yeah.
which this wasn't. Then I, contacted, the Parks auditor. They actually gave me their current auditor, which is in your packet. No, Swan House, yes, okay. You can see the prices too. However, the Wally is the treasurer for the one part, coming back the next day after we did this. He gave me their old auditor that they used for a while and then switched, which is good practice. This is Stockman House, which I gave you, very accurate, very good. So I did this copy, their front page in there, and they're between 7,500 and 8,500. By the way, I did email this to all of you. I was very impressed with the gentleman that would be working on, his name's Josh. Spent a lot of time explaining a lot of things to me. I learned some things that I'd like to share. There are 3 different types of audits. There is what they call compilation, which is totally makes sense if you have a budget under 500,000 You don't have to have an audit committee. You have a review. And basically what the compilation is they take your December 31st financials, whether they're right or not, and they put it in a format and submit it as. The second type of audit is a review. It's a little bit more in-depth. It's not taking just what we provide them. They kind of do spot checks throughout our financials. And then there's the full-blown audit. We did have a full-blown audit last year. We are not required to have one every year. And for 20, we have raised the limit from 500 up to 750. So, which is kind of a different, but that's an effective till this year. So last year we still, I mean, it doesn't matter, we're way over the request. Let's see. The audit, as it was stated, it's not due until July 31st, stated that it's due in April. However, we need to decide quickly because you have to file for by April 30th. So if you want, if you're not gonna get fined, but you have to file for the extension if you don't want to get yours in until.
What was that?
Stockman
That's what.
passed. That's it. Is Stockman passed. Just because he was very helpful to staff. Reading this on the phone with me. And, all my questions.
Would you have any questions for me?
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, what is this? He originally came in at $10,000, and I told him, I said, you know, that's just never what we want to spend. You know, budget isn't that high. And he said, well, we certainly can, he said, if you just want a one-time audit, that's what you're going to have to get. He said, however, if we can have for more than one time, we can drop the price down. So I asked him, I said, well, would you be willing to do like a 3-year contract at that price? And he said yes. So the 75 to 85.
What level of an audit was that price?
This would be we need to do a full audit for 2014, and this would be for a full audit.
Could it, if we were to enter into a 3-year, would you negotiate a different price if you have a lower level once we were comfortable with the full audit?
You know, and I'm assuming so, because if we just had to do a review, as intense,
That's something that would probably be memorialized in the
right?
Some kind of option.
I don't know what y'all's thoughts, but as far as stepping down an audit, obviously last year is a full audit early, and I think this year will be our first full year amongst ourselves. It would be worthwhile to do the full audit. We plan on doing a full audit for 2015, depending on the basis of that, possibly step down for 2016.
That's good. So I would kind of hearing that you would recommend this firm as that would be good.
I liked them. I mean, I felt very comfortable with them, and I will be having to work with them. And they're honestly like a very plus. You know, it's not really expenses for travel or food.
why did Woodland Park get rid of it?
Because it's good practice to switch up every few years.
That's the only reason.
Yeah,
Okay.
they just got rid of the one of the 2 years.
That was in that budget, right? I'm just wondering what level, I'm sure they're not, I don't know.
Woodland Park. They were really happy with it, and that's why we called them back the next day, was, you know what?
Questions?
That you represent, we have contracts for our auditors. Is it appropriate that we sign a contract with you?
What we typically do, to alleviate the concern of, contracting with a municipality is we actually make the contract subject to appropriation. So if for some reason next year there's no funds to do an audit or something else changes or you guys don't appropriate, this board doesn't appropriate the funds to have this company do the audit, that's kind of a safeguard from the board being stuck in there. Typically, anyone who's contracted with the municipality is very familiar with prior appropriation, funding clauses, things like that, so they don't have a problem. She did, as she said, she spoke with the auditors for Granby. Granby has all kinds of federal funding for the development that it does and things like that, so their auditor is way more in depth than you guys would need. And I actually haven't heard back from the other 2 municipalities that I checked into, so I don't have any thoughts on whether you do it or not, whether you want, whether you should or shouldn't contract with them to get a price. I mean, that just comes down to looking at the contract, either they provide us or giving them one. The board saying, yes, that's a fine contract with us. I'm certainly happy to add language to their contract or change language that I don't agree with and let you know my thoughts before you would enter into a contract with them. But
I feel really comfortable, I would like to propose a motion to have staff pursue a contract. With the firm to get good stuff rolling. I think I've seen a lot of extensive research on that, and I think if you're comfortable, the board's comfortable, then we should probably pursue getting that contract secured.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to have Stockman, Cass, Ryan Company provide professional services, auditing services
Direct staff
to direct staff.
pursue an agreement contract.
And I'll second that.
Okay, any more discussion? Okay, all those in favor, vote by saying aye. Opposed? Board is late in lieu of time this evening. If there are no objections, I would like to put these items on the next,
I need approval.
excuse me,
I need approval for hiring.
7D,
okay. Okay,
If we could just take that.
no, I think we were,
Yeah, I had concerns because I was asking around, found that no trustee sat in on the interviews as far as this goes. And I feel that it takes our input within this to, to make a decision because we're ultimately responsible for it.
I don't know that that's been the practice based on the fact that nobody sat in on these interviews. And I don't know whether people sat in for public works or not.
I did.
You sat in for
Yes.
public works.
I did sit in and talk to each
I
person.
think it's not a second.
So, I mean,
I think I'd like to at least have a copy. Given the top candidates, so we can kind of look at it. I don't know if you want to call, you suggesting you call them for another meeting?
I think I would like to table and do that for the next board meeting.
Okay.
so if we we can just, put all this then on the next agenda, that would be great. So we can get out of here and not be rushed.
I think that was, you know, this was on agenda before. That we would have the rest of the, to start looking at the candidates and I don't think anyone would do that. No one has. Just as a point of view that we should probably. She's ready to hire somebody, now we're asking.
Is there any more conversation? Anything else, board? Okay, then this meeting is.